All right, guys, take a look. This is our new stave right here. I went through and started, revealing the growth ring, the one we want to keep. And I don't know if you guys can tell, but this wood is really, really dark. This is Osage or Bow Dark. And look how dark that is. I literally just finished revealing the growth ring. So I don't know. For those of you familiar with Osage, it's really like a bright yellow. So this just goes to show how old this stave really is. This is an old fence post right here. So I thought that was pretty cool to see how the yellow is no longer pretty much existent in here. It might be towards the belly, who knows? We won't know till we get there. But one thing that is kind of crazy is look up here, look at that. This is the part of the post that was in the ground. I mean, got a bunch of dirt. You can see it. I mean, look at these holes in here. Look at that. Look at close up in there. It's just crazy. And then the craziest part is right here. This is the craziest part of the whole thing right there. Like that. There's a dirt dauber hole thing, whatever that is, that goes completely through the bow. So if you look right here, we got this real thin spot. I'm not sure. So I went through and measured it, and we're going for a 68-inch bow. And because of that, the knock is supposed to be like right on like halfway through this big old hole. So with that being said, we're really gonna have to either try to come up on this side of the hole, which it thins out really bad up towards this part, and we can't go farther down. So who knows? You see my bow? I have it marked out right there a little bit. We're gonna go through, take it down, and just start working it and just see what happens. Worst case scenario, this is just have to make a shorter bow, but we're gonna try to get the 68 inches out of this sucker. We're gonna see. All right, guys. So we went through and we got this staved kind of. Roughed out basically, where we went through and followed the grain. If you look down here, that's probably my favorite part of the grain right here. That little snaky wave right here. I think that's pretty cool. But so with all that said, this stave is not going to be the one. If you come over here and take a look, you can see the dirt all in here in these little holes. And I don't know if you can see that, but that is less than a 1/4 inch right here. And if this was the knock up here, this would be part of the functioning limb and stuff. So it's not gonna make a 68-inch bow. So I'm not even gonna bother at this point. If you've been keeping up with my videos, I think we've already done like 5 different attempts, and we've been trying to work around bug holes and stuff like that. Come to find out that that's, I've been told many times, my grandfather has told me several times, if it's got bug holes, don't even bother. But part of me was being stubborn and thought I could work around it. Come to find out, no, you cannot. So with all this being here, I pretty much already know it's not gonna give me the 68-inch bow I want. So we're just gonna put it to rest. We're not gonna bother with it. Probably gonna snip it right here, and then just make a little short bow on another occasion. Well, it wouldn't even be that short. It'd probably be like a 60-inch bow, which is it's not that bad. So this will make a different bow, but it's not gonna make the 68-inch bow we're after. So we're gonna get the other side of this same post and see if it's any better. It might not. It might be the same thing as this, but we'll pick up there and see how that goes. Look at that. I mean, these bug holes are huge, and they're everywhere. They go all the way down the stave. So I'm taking a little chisel and stuff, and I'm going through and taking so this is a good example of growth rings. You can see them pretty good here. You see them? All those little lines right there are growth rings. And I'm taking maybe let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm taking five-ish growth rings. I'm gonna try to go all the way down and see if I can just peel off that top layer in hopes that the bug holes only go that far in and the rest of the stave will be clear. So we peeled off a little bit in hopes that the bug holes weren't that deep. But dang it, they're really deep, guys. They're crazy. Look, there's a worm right there. That's crazy. You'll see that? That's a worm. That is crazy, guys. That's what I get for not for not buying staves. To be fair, this wasn't a stave. This was a given to me. It was somebody who's like, hey, I got a really old Osage stave that's been sitting in my shed for like 8 years. Do you want it? And I'm like, you bet. So I am super grateful, by the way. By no means am I complaining. A free stave is always awesome, because who doesn't want a free stave? That's 8 years of aging right there. So there we have it. This was that stave that had a bunch of a lot of bug holes and wormholes, and I had mentioned something about trying to split the stave like halfways and seeing if I could get rid of the bug holes. And so the answer to that was I almost got rid of all the bug holes. I mean, that stave is super clean. really nice, pretty much impeccable. Up until like right here, or like right here. We get all wavy. You can see all that. I got that wave going on right here. And we got that massive knot right there. And then right here, you can see the different growth rings right here. This whole little section right there. It kind of like dips in and there's like a little like indentation. And so I wasn't able to get my draw knife in there. Basically, well, you can kind of see here, I was able to touch this edge and touch this edge with my draw knife. So my draw knife is perfectly flat. So I was able to carve that. But since we have like a little canal going through here, my draw knife wasn't able to get into those. And then I tried to go like sideways a little bit. That worked a little bit, but there's only so much I can do. So I'm gonna have to go through with like a pocket knife and like get all this out of here. And to address that knot, I'm gonna do my little razor blade knife. You've seen me do that several times around the knots. So I kind of got as much as I could with the razor blade knife. As you can see, we made awesome progress. But even then, there's certain things that the razor blade knife just can't get. So I'm using this little thing. I'm not really sure what this is. I want to say it's like a carpet knife, but don't quote me on that. If I remember correctly, I picked this up at Harbor Freight a long time ago. And this little curved edge works great for getting that little canal. Look at that. You see what it looks like there? Watch. And I didn't do nothing to the back. I didn't sharpen it or nothing. It's perfect for scraping. So this is where a cabinet scraper or a card scraper would come in handy. I know they come in different shapes and sizes, but even though I do a lot of woodwork stuff, related stuff, I've never owned one. I always just use like old saw blades and cut them up, and then that's what I usually end up doing. But if you're not as cheap as I am, go get your card scraper. I'm sure it would work great. And well, you can kind of see there the the progress that I'm making. So yeah, this thing comes in handy. I'm gonna just keep going through, scraping up all that little stuff. Really, if you don't have to take it all off, once you get to this point, that's good enough. You can leave it; it won't hurt nothing. But simply because this bow is not for me, we're trying to go above and beyond. We're trying to make sure that it's very nice and pretty. If you look at some of my personal bows, I don't actually get that into detail. This one, I would scrape this a little bit more, but something like that, I'd call it good enough. But regardless, this ain't my bow, so we're gonna get it as much as we can. We're gonna try to get every little crevice. And anyways, I'm gonna go through. I'm trying to get this the best I can. And we'll pick up there, guys. So there we have it. That's what the stave looks like now. I went ahead and went through and drew the outline of the bow. I'm trying not to show too much of the build on this bow, simply because I feel like it's all very repetitive. If you've been keeping up with my videos, we've been attempting to build a bow for quite a while. I think we're like on attempt 5 or 6. So I don't want to get like wear you guys out and just keep posting the same thing over and over. So basically I'm just kind of skipping through it real quick. But if you remember on the previous videos how we follow the grain, if you get a close-up look right here, you can kind of see all these little lines. And so basically I just pick one line and follow it all, like kind of in the center, and try to follow it all the way down. And then I'll get my width, which this is 1.5 inches. That's kind of the width we were shooting for. So we went 1.5 inches and then followed that grain all the way down. And then we went ahead and tapered the ends. If you could look at that, we tapered the ends down to a 1/2 inch. I just kind of, I don't even know how far down we went. I just kind of guessed a little bit, roughly 10, 12 inches down from like where the knock is. And then we started our taper down to a 1/2 inch. And so if you remember earlier, we had mentioned something about these holes up here. Take a look at these right here. And we had that hole, this hole, and this hole. And I had mentioned something about how I was going to try to incorporate them. So when I had said that, I was going to make like some pretty big, I guess, knocks or whatever this is called. This is the little part above where the string goes. I don't know if you can see my little drawing there. But these would be like the little notches for the string and stuff like that. And normally I make these a little bigger, a little longer. And that's what I was going to do. But after getting it all drawn out and stuff like that, these 2 holes that we have right here, we're going to be like, I mean, you can see if we had this up here, those 2 bug holes were going to be right in part of the functioning working limb. And after, thinking about it, I think that's not going to be a good idea. So I decided I'm not going to incorporate the bug holes. Since last time we tried that, our bow ended up cracking on us. I was like, you know what? I'm just not even going to deal with it. I'm going to play it safe. So what I ended up doing is, if you take a look right here on this knot down here, I drew like super tiny, I guess like little knocks or whatever. I made little tiny ones. So that way we can still get our 68 inches knock to knock. and still avoid these two knots. If you take a look right here, our line for our nocks is going to be right where this other bug hole ends. So it's going to be perfect. And then this huge one is, well, it's never going to make it into the bow. I kind of wanted it to because I thought it was going to look pretty cool. But as far as the integrity of the bow, realistically, I don't think I would have been able to pull it off. I think the bow would have gave out on me. And so earlier I had mentioned something about I couldn't, I had mentioned something about I could go farther down and get rid of these knots completely. And that would have been cool because then I can do whatever I want with my design. But the bad thing is I had mentioned something about the girth and me not having enough girth. So sorry about that, guys, but so basically by splitting this stave like halfway down, we were able to get rid of all the bug holes, which was very essential. But one of the cons about doing that was, look at this girth right here. I don't know if you guys can see that well or not, but I mean that's skinnier than my finger. We have a very thin girth. I don't like that, but it was either have a really thin girth or give up the integrity of the bow, which I feel like the integrity of the actual bow is more important. I need the back to be 100% good, because if not, then a bow's only as good as its back. If the back is going to give out, you're never going to have a bow. So we're going to have to somehow incorporate this little thin spot, and I haven't yet decided how we're going to do that, but we're going to have to come up with something. And now I could thin up the limbs because we have 1.5 inches here. If I thinned them up to maybe 1 inch, which would still make a great bow. I have tons of bows that are like 1 inch wide. But we were shooting for 1.5 inches. That's what, you know, me and Steven had discussed. He had mentioned something about wanting roughly, give or take, like 1.5 inches of width. So with that being said, I'm going to try to just get it cut out, get it roughed out, and see what it looks like. If I feel like I can pull it off and give us 1.5 inches, we'll go with it. If not, I'll touch base with him and see if he's willing to kind of thin it up a little bit in order to kind of make up on this girth a little bit. But who knows? We'll see, and I'll keep you posted. What the bow's looking like there, and so far everything's going real smooth. If you remember earlier, I had mentioned something about this little spot that was going to be real skinny, that I was worried that it might affect us. So it is a little skinnier than I wanted, but all in all, I think we're going to be able to get away with that little spot. This was the other skinny spot we were running into. We've almost got, you know, pretty close down to it. So I'm not even worried about that at all. This one, it's a little iffy, but I think we're going to be able to get away with it. What's helping us a lot here is this back is pretty much impeccable. It's really a really nice back on it. And if you remember the wormholes that we had, we were able to work around those and get those pretty much out of the whole structural back of the bow. So we're now pretty thin, as you can see. We're about to get it, put it up. Next step is put it on that little tillering tree thing that I got, and start tillering, because now we've roughed it out, and this is basically what the bow's going to look like. We're going to see how the tiller's looking, and we're going to work on the tiller for quite a while, and then we'll pick up once I get the tiller looking pretty good. Okay, guys, this is the moment of truth. We got everything tillered, and we still haven't checked the draw weight, but the goal was to stay between 55 and 50, and I feel like we're pretty close to 50. We should be. It feels like, I don't know. My best guess is it's going to be pulling about 53. That's my guess. But there's only one real way to find out, and that'll be with this little scale right here. I'm going to put this up, and then the goal is we're going to bring that string down to, you know, the 30 mark right here. That's the draw length we're going for. So 30 should work good. We'll see. We're gonna give it a few warm-up pulls just because I haven't fully pulled it yet. I think right there we hit like 40, like 43. Looks like we hit 45 at 28, or pretty close to there. Once again, 28. Looks like we're right around the 45 mark still. Okay, we're at like 28 and a half, and I think we hit like, I don't know, 46 or something, 47. Okay, we hit the 29 mark. We're at like, I don't know, 47, 48. Oh. Damn, okay. I can't really tell, but looks like we're at 48 or 49. This time we're pulling to 30. Ah, crap. I don't know if y'all heard that, but I just heard a crack. That's not good. Well, we did hit our goal. We hit 51 at 30. Ah, can't believe I just heard that crack. I pray to God I'm this crack, not the bow, but I doubt it. We're gonna have to look and inspect. Ah, dang it. Well, let's see. We did hit our goal on the poundage, so I'm happy about that. But I don't know if you were able to hear that through the video, but I definitely heard a crack. I heard something crack. So we're gonna inspect. I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna inspect this bow thoroughly and see if I can find a crack. I hope and pray that. I hope my little tillering tree is the one that cracked and not the bow. Okay, I think I found the crack actually. Okay, yep, found it. I don't know if you guys can see that right there. We're going right through there. See if the video will pick that up. You guys see that? Right there. See if it'll focus. See that crack right there? It goes all the way up. Okay. Although cracks are not good, we're going like this would be vertical. This is a vertical crack. So I'm actually not too worried. Here, let me show you an example of some vertical cracks right now, real quick. These are two of my personal bows right here. So if we look here, you guys see that? See if it'll focus. It goes from the tip all the way down to like right there. And that's a vertical crack. So it hasn't been an issue. Obviously it doesn't look appealing. It might look scary, but vertical cracks are actually not terrible. And then here we have this one. See if it'll focus. See that right there? That's a crack all the way down. And this is on the back of the bow. That one's on the belly. The other bow, it has it on the belly. I thought I had remembered developing another crack somewhere on the same bow. Right here. See if y'all can see that right there. That's another crack. Actually, it's one and then it's two cracks. And this is my hunting bow. So with that being said, I mean, no crack is great, right? It's not great news, but with it being a vertical crack, it's not terrible news. That doesn't mean the bow's going to give out. It just means you developed the crack. But regardless, we still got to shoot it, who knows, like 1,000 times and confirm 100% the sucker's not going to give out before we send it off or do anything like that. But as of right now, the poundage was at, I actually forgot. I forgot if it was 51 or 52, but it was just a hair bit over 50. And the goal was to be somewhere between 50 and 55. So, I mean, 1 or 2 over. I call that perfect. I would say that's perfect. We nailed it on the poundage. Our tiller is good. And yeah, so we're going to go through, sand it down real good, touch up the back a little bit, doing a little bit of very, very fine scraping with my like little fillet knife thing that you guys have seen me do. And address these little knots a little better. And just get all the final little touches. And get her sanded down real good. And who knows, shoot her 500 times, and hopefully nothing crazy develops. And then if so, then we'll go ahead and put a seal on it after that, and put a handle and all that, and then shoot it like a total of 1,000 times. And if the bow is still holding up after 1,000 shots, I call that good enough, and this bow will be on their way to meet Steven, hopefully, God willing. So yeah, there we have it, guys. All right, guys, so we went through and cleaned up the back real nice. And I got to talking to Steven, and he mentioned something about he kind of likes a little bit of the darker colors. So what I'm going to do here is I have a little mixture. This is a white vinegar and steel wool. And I actually forgot about it. And I don't even know how long that's been sitting there for. Probably months. But anyways, you can leave it in there for an hour up to 3 days. The steel wool and white vinegar, and then take the wool out, and you basically have a stain, a natural stain. And I'm a pretty big fan of this stuff, but basically I'm just take my little brush, dab a tiny little bit in there. I'm gonna start from the top and work my way down, and that's all I'm gonna do. That is it. Just rub a little bit of this on there. Just like that. Tap a little more. And it's crazy how fast this stuff works. You can already see it darkening up. I'm a pretty big fan of this stuff. I love the way the vinegar and steel wool react with the wood and kind of give it this cool, like, look, I guess. I don't know. I like the look. I like the way it comes out. Yeah. Oh, snap. Losing myself there. Yeah. That is literally all there is to it. I'm gonna just go through and get this all smeared in there real good. And I'm kind of thinking of doing like a little bit of a two-tone, so I might not do the belly. I haven't decided yet. Now when I talked to Steven and stuff, he did kind of give me the freedom to do a little bit of whatever I want. Earlier he had mentioned just to kind of give it a little bit of my, I don't know, my own taste to it. And but I'm trying to incorporate a little bit of what he likes with a little bit of what I like. And he had mentioned something about the kind of liking the idea of a darker colored bow. So we're gonna do this, but I'm thinking about doing like a little two-tone thing going on, and we'll see how that comes out. And I'm gonna go through and finish this up, and then we'll pick up there, guys. All right, guys, I hope you can hear me okay. This is what the bow ended up looking like right there, and this is after the that vinegar stain has dried. So I know I had mentioned something about going two-tone, but after I did the two-tone thing, I don't know, it just didn't look good. It sounded way better in my head, but after I looked at it, it just didn't, I don't know, it didn't sound good. So I put a little bit of a tape handle just for now. I basically found the halfway point, and I went 2.5 inches this way, 2.5 inches that way, just so I can shoot the bow with, let's go with the knot side up, and then I can shoot it again with the knot side down, just to see what side he likes to shoot. So while I was sanding, I got carried away, and I sanded too much on the little edge right here, and that is something you got to be very careful when you're sanding. I was using an orbital sander. When you're using an orbital sander, you got to be very careful, because I'd sanded a little too much on the edge, and I popped a splinter on the back of the bow. So that kind of stinks. I'm not too worried about a splinter, but regardless, I put a patch on it, and unfortunately, Steven will never see this bow. Well, I mean, he might see it, but he won't ever. This won't be his bow. I can't send something off that has a splinter on it, so that kind of stinks. But no worries, we're gonna start over again with another stave, and we will get him his bow. But this might just be another bow to my collection, unless that splinter does not hold up, which we're about to find out right now. It's cold out here, guys. It's really cold. So I'm gonna get this strung up, and I'm gonna do a few shots. Kind of like what the bow looks like there. It's all strung up. And me and Steven had mentioned something about the golly, I forgot what this is called, the Flemish twist string. So I don't know if we can do that. I see that, but we did a Flemish twist string on this. And the way I do mine is I'll put serving on the main loop, the one that's like sliding up and down a lot, and the one that's not, I basically just tie a little knot at the end of the string, and they just kind of tie it off. That's the way I do my Flemish twist strings. I'm sure there's many other options, and we don't have a knock or nothing on here, so we're just gonna kind of eyeball it and shoot with the knot side up, and then shoot again with the knot side down, and just see what side the arrow shove wants to be on. Sorry about that. That shot knocked over the, I guess like the impact of the arrow hitting the hay bale knocked over the phone. But that's with the knot facing up. Now we're gonna do some shots with the knot facing down and just see what side the bow likes to shoot best on. Alright guys, so there we have it. That's the bow there. It looks like the little splinter is not going to give us any issues. The patch looks like it's holding up fine. It's super cold out here. I don't know what the weather is, but I know this morning it was 5 degrees. So I'm assuming it warmed up a little bit. I don't know. We're probably like, I don't know, 8 degrees maybe, or maybe 10 or something like that. But regardless, it's still very, very much cold. And it looks like it likes to shoot with the knot side down. That was a pretty big difference. It was shooting to like 3 inches to the left on with the knot side up, and with the knot side down, it was pretty much bullseye every shot. So that bow is gonna like the knot side down. And yeah, guys, there we have it. That's what everything looks like. So sorry, Steven, you're not gonna get to see this bow, brother. I'm really so sorry, but fear not, your bow is on the way.